My name's Jane Paradise, and I'm a photographer, and I live year-round in Provincetown. I started coming here as a child, vacationing with my parents, probably around 1960, 1961. The earliest photos I have of myself in town are about 1964. So we came every summer for vacationing, staying in the little cottages in Truro. And I think that started my love affair with the town. We came every morning to watch the fishermen come in with their tuna fishing. We'd walk on the dunes, we'd walk in town, and we would swim all the time. And here I am many years later, living year-round. This is my photograph of Norma Holt. Norma Holt and I met about 9 years ago. I was in one of the galleries in town, and she happened to be there. And I was taking a portrait photography course, and I needed a model for the week. And she just piped up and said, "I'll be your model." And I didn't know what to do, so I just said yes, and I'd never met her before. And that is what really started a really lifelong friendship that I had with her. So she and I, for 7 years, I photographed her and learned a lot of stories about Provincetown, about her artwork. Some of the things I think that I learned from her was she very much lived in the moment and in the present. She rarely ever talked about her past, except on occasion. She would tell wild and wonderful stories about Provincetown. She was very feisty, and she was proud of the fact that she was feisty. During the time that I photographed her, I also collected a lot of quotes of hers to go with the photographs, and so that was fun. She lived an interesting life. She had grown up, I think, in upstate New York, but then moved to Queens and joined the Communist Party. Married a fellow communist, divorced him, and then married again later in life, and divorced that man also. She was really proud of her photography of older women. She did this in Burkina Faso for months at a time, and she really believed in staying in a place and getting to know the culture of that place to photograph the people there. She, in Provincetown, is known for her big photographs of the Portuguese women's wives, the Portuguese fishermen's wives on the pier. She also has an extensive body of work of Israel and Palestine that she took before a lot of the conflict took place. She also photographed protests in New York. She initially made her living coming to Provincetown. She came to Provincetown every summer while her full-time residence was New York City. She rented a different place every time she came to town. She made her living by photographing the artists' children in town. So she photographed Lise Motherwell, Jeannie Motherwell, and lots of other kids in town, and that's how she made her money. And she would spend a lot of time with the children. And so after a while, what she said was it wasn't very lucrative anymore because it was taking too much time. She also, interestingly enough, was the photographer for 2 children's books. So there are 2 children's books where she's the photographer and someone else was the writer. She would tell interesting stories about loving to swim naked all the time in town, running around barefoot with her braided hair, and meeting all these people. She also would tell stories about, or she'd be pretty blunt with people sometimes. She said to one guy once, "I think I slept with your father. I mean your uncle." She said, "I think I slept with your uncle." And the guy was really taken aback because I assume his uncle was married. So she was kind of wild and wonderful and a great role model, both in terms of photography and how to live life in the present.